welcome back to 20th Century Dude. Today we're going to have a video on some of the very recent pickups I did, mostly coming from the Kutztown radio show for those of you who are familiar with it. For those who aren't, it's basically a giant flea market held at the town of Kutztown in Pennsylvania, and this gives a chance for, of course, collectors and vendors not only sell their stuff, which I tended to do, but it's also a chance for people of the public to either who live nearby or travel farther to see what exactly they can buy, what exactly they can pick up or trade or whatnot. And today we'll be joined by the Energizer Bunny. And he won't stand up, so I won't bother to put him on camera. So we have a selection of CEDs, DVDs, Blu-ray, HD DVD, CDs, audio vinyl, VHS, and a little of Betamax, but I'm going to do a separate video on that after my friend Birgit gave me a whole pile through, so now I actually have a collection to actually show off for once. So first we'll start with the CDs, I guess, since they're of the smallest of variety. So we have music from the Warriors. So music from the maybe a little bit of the 30s, but mostly the 40s. Songs that were made for soldiers to inspire them on the field of battle and then on their way back home. So I'm guessing probably a mix of swing and big band and whatnot. This Nickelback CD is not something I really am going to keep in my collection. I actually give it as a gag gift for my mother because she hates Nickelback. So I thought it'd be funny if I went and got her a Nickelback CD. But of course I'm not going to keep it, so I don't even know why I'm showing it off. Nextly on the only HD DVD we have Constantine, if you remember this DC movie by any chance with Keanu Reeves. I guess they want to make a second one. I don't know why, but there was actually a whole pile of these we were trying to sell. And of course, we only sold like one of them for the entire Kutztown show. So unfortunately, we had to bring a whole bunch of them home. But I have seen this before, so I figured I might as well help and take it off his hands. Nextly, on the only Blu-ray, we also have Avengers Infinity War. Now, of course, I already have this on DVD, but now I can replace it with something higher quality in my collection. And now that means I have every MCU movie from Iron Man to Spider-Man Far From Home on a Blu-ray now, finally. As far as post-Endgame stuff is concerned, there's really not a whole lot of stuff that I own, other than like Spider-Man. I think Shang-Chi's in there, and Guardians 3, and that's about it. Because let's be honest, Marvel has been kind of on a downward slope lately. And up next we have Aliens, the special edition, which I didn't even realize when I picked this up that apparently it was actually a much longer version of the movie. So I guess what's interesting, so I guess I can watch the original cut on beta, and I have this longer version on DVD, so I'm going to have to check that out sometime. Also on DVD, we have this Batman 4-film collection from Batman 89 to Batman and Robin, and yes, I know Batman and Robin is a bad movie. I can't help it. You're going to eventually find it in all these collections anyway. So I already had all the Michael Keaton stuff on DVD, but I guess now that I don't really need 2 copies of those, I can now get rid of them, maybe give them to a friend or something. We had an actually pretty nice selection of vinyl this year at the Kutztown show, so I made sure to grab myself a good handful when I was down there. So we have here Sound System, the top hits of today, at least the top hits of what would have been 1983. But man, I really like the selection. on this vinyl. I don't have the disc in here right now because I actually have the record sitting on my record player waiting to be played as soon as I'm done recording this video. I did play through this record. Maybe some of you have seen this before at yard sales or flea markets, I don't know. But it's also sort of a little, I guess, vinyl mixtape of the early 80s. So there's some good stuff on here too. I listened to it yesterday. Also something I listened to yesterday, we have the Jacksons album, Victory. So this was much later on when they changed their name from the Jackson 5 to the Jacksons, and they also exchanged a member of the band with another one of their brothers. I forget who off the top of my head, but I know there was a little roster change with one person. And up next we have apparently an audio documentary on vinyl. We have John F. Kennedy, the presidential years. So I'm going to guess that this is about some, I guess, major events during his presidency. Of course, obviously the assassination as well. So I'm going to have to give that a listen. I don't know if they're going to include excerpts from his speeches or anything like that. A good deal that, probably would. And lastly, for the vinyl, we have Bee Gees' Greatest Hits. And now moving on to the CEDs, because we have a few. We have The Time Machine. This is an old 60s sci-fi film that I like. I remember reading a book called The Time Machine, and I think it was middle school. I think it was. So that was my earliest exposure to this, and I also have this on Laserdisc too. Up next we have Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo, which of course is one of his most acclaimed movies. I'd say it's one of his best ones too. I don't know if I would regard it as a personal favorite of mine, although if somebody wanted to dispute that this is actually the best Hitchcock movie of all time, I mean, I'm not going to argue with them. I mean, something like Psycho or Rear Window is probably more of a personal favorite to me than Vertigo, although I would put this on a top 5. So, yeah, I had this tested and working, had the disc all clean. So what you got to do when you go get a CED is, it's best to let all the discs play through at least once to see if you can get all the dirt off, because who knows, it could be like 2 years or even 30 years since these have been played last, so who knows how much dirt these things have accumulated. So they're all working pretty nicely, which is good. And I found this movie, an old Clint Eastwood movie, pre-Top Gun, called Firefox. Now, I'm not super familiar with this one, although maybe some of you remember this film when you were kids in the 80s and 90s. I don't know. But I have yet to check this out. So I think it's sort of, from what I read up, it's like techno-military, I guess we want to call it. I would have thought this when I picked it up, oh, it looks like something, like a Top Gun knockoff or something, but it's actually before that, if I had to, it's... Okay, I'm seeing a 1982 and 1983 from Warner Home Video, so definitely early 80s. So I'm interested to see what Firefox is all about, so maybe I'll even watch this tonight. So I'm going to move on to some betas now. I'm not going to show off all of them because, well, I mean, to be fair, there's enough there. I'm going to be doing my own little video on beta anyway, so I'll at least show a handful of things. So here we have Footloose on beta, and of course, actually, as with most of the movies I'm going to be showing now, I've never seen this, so I'm interested to see if it's worth keeping or not. We also have The Godfather. Obviously, I've seen this before. I had this trilogy on, of course, VHS and Blu-ray. And I'm a little disappointed with this movie, at least on the copy that I got, because this first tape here, to play the first hour and a half, 2 hours in the movie, unfortunately does not work. It does that, rolling thing with the image. I don't know if any of you remember that from tapes or like a poor TV signal, but it does that. So I'm really disappointed that even when I clean the player up after I played it because I was concerned, is it the player head? It wasn't, but unfortunately, I don't know if I'm going to be able to play this tape or not. But at least the second half of the movie here on this tape is okay. So maybe that's one of those things where I'm going to play the VHS half first and then the beta part second. I don't know. Guess we'll find out. And of course we have Godfather Part 2 as well. Thankfully all the tapes in this movie work. And it literally, yeah, of course, looks just like my VHS copy that I have. So a little nice companion piece, I guess, but on another format. And of course, it's a much longer movie too. So of course we're going to need 2 tapes to play it. And no, unfortunately, I do not have the third one. I know it's not everybody's favorite. I personally don't think it's the most horrible thing I've ever seen, but it's definitely the least favorite in that trilogy for a reason. But, of course, I will have to go find it on beta. I'm sure it's probably out there somewhere, floating around, but we'll see. In this movie, One-Armed Executioner, I can't really find anything about it. This is obviously a rental copy, obviously. This has to be some kind of, like, B-movie or something, because the only place I found it at was, like, what was it? The Internet Archive and, like, Tubi or something, but it's from Paragon Video Productions. But, of course, you know, there's no Wikipedia page. I don't even know if I even saw an IMDb for information on this film, so probably definitely lower end of the spectrum. Maybe it's the kind of thing Red Letter Media watches on their Best of the Worst show. I don't know. But if that is the case, and it is one of those schlocky B-movies, then I will be in for a real treat for sure. And lastly, of stuff I'm showing off today, we have The Ten Commandments. Of course, another film I have not seen, and of course, long enough that we need 2 tapes to play it. How long is this movie, actually? 219 minutes, so yeah, that will take up a good chunk of time. So, obviously a big blockbuster from the 50s. It was real popular with audiences, so I'm interested to see what this movie holds in store. Now, finally, onto the VHS, and of course, most of these, like I said before, is stuff I've not seen before. So, first off, we have Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, again, and this is going to come to a shock to many people, I'm sure, but I've never seen a Harry Potter or a Fantastic Beasts movie in my life. I've never seen anything that occurs in J.K. Rowling's world, never seen any of these movies. My only exposure to Harry Potter was reading the first several chapters out of the first book back in, I think, was it 4th or 5th grade. But I didn't really get into it at the time, so I never finished. I never finished the books, never even bothered to watch the movies. But I also have the second one on tape too, but I didn't bring it down. I don't know, for people who watch my channel and have seen Harry Potter, is this a series that I must watch before I die, kind of a thing? If so, I'll get right on it, because I have, of course, you know, first 2 movies on tape, so I'm going to see whether or not it's worth continuing the series after those movies, I guess. And we have a Scorsese one here, Gangs of New York, from the early 2000s. I don't know if this is one of his, I don't think it's one of his more acclaimed ones, but I made sure to definitely pick it up, because I've never seen it before, and I'd like to continue through the Scorsese videography. I also think this tape was more on the rental side, probably, because it was definitely recorded like one. The quality isn't as nice as some of the other tapes I have. I'm assuming anyway, unless it was just poorly taken care of. Now we have a Disney classic, The Jungle Book, and it's had been at least 12 to 13 years since I've seen this movie. I saw 2/3 of the new one, and it was okay, but nothing I'm ever gonna, like, finish at all. And honestly, I don't really want to, because I have, like, no desire to watch any of the Disney remakes, even the ones that people do like. But honestly, at least I've seen all the movies they have remade, with the exception of Pete's Dragon. I've never even seen the original Pete's Dragon. So yeah, here's this tape, and of course you'll notice Black Diamond on the side. These are supposedly, like, worth big bucks or something. Apparently, a whole stack of these tapes with the black diamond on the side sold for like $35,000 at one point. Of course, that could just be outrageous pricing or a myth in itself, but I figured, hey, okay, why not? If they are truly worth something, then maybe I'll accumulate, my own set of Disney movies on tape with that label on it. And here's a movie I've been wanting to see for a while, Witness, or maybe I already showed this off before, I don't know, but I'll show it briefly just in case I have not before. But I did end up liking this movie a lot, so I will be watching it again probably very shortly. And another movie I've not seen before, Lethal Weapon 3. Although, to be fair, I have the second one on tape too, and I've not even seen that one, but hey, at least I can continue on with the series. And I thought the first one was kind of a, alright, yeah, it was good kind of movie. Not my favorite 80s action movie, but there was enough to like about it. And actually, yeah, we have another one from Disney. I should have just did this one right after Jungle Book. We have 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I don't know if any of you are familiar with this one. It's one of the live-action adventure movies from the 1950s. But I do rather like this movie, too. So, of course, that's why I wanted to make sure I got it on tape. And this movie was completely brand new when I got it. It's John Wayne in Rio Grande. So, of course, it's brand new. The only part I have played it is like the first 10 minutes when I was like testing it. But yeah, I can't wait to watch it moving through the filmography of John Wayne. So I might as well move on with John Wayne to keep with the theme here. We also have Stagecoach, one of his first big ones, I think, from the 30s, right? I'm pretty sure it's 1938 or 39, so make sure to pick this up as well. Of course, this is when he was starting to work with John Ford and moving on from his B pictures of the early to mid-30s. And I've seen a handful of them. I have them like in a tin upstairs of like 14 or 15 of his B movies from the 30s, and they're okay. But I find that a lot of them blend in, and there were a few of them, honestly, I could not tell you the plot at all of what happened because they kind of just... I'm seldom bored, but I didn't find a lot of them to be super interesting. And here's another Scorsese one. Apparently, this was remade from a 50s movie, Cape Fear. So, again, I should have put this Scorsese one earlier, but I neglected to. So, I made sure to get this one. Next up, we have The Bride of Frankenstein, the sequel to the original Frankenstein from the 30s. Of course, spooky season is coming up, so I figured, hey, why not grab something like this while we're at it? I have seen this before, too. What I found interesting was, it's called The Bride of Frankenstein, but she doesn't really show up till, like, the last 10 minutes in the movie. And when it happens, like, oh, okay, now what? Like, that's it? Kind of a thing, but yeah. Next up, we have Marlon Brando on The Waterfront, which is another acclaimed Academy Award-winning classic. Not seen this, so I'll make sure to get to that as soon as I possibly can. And upon testing this film, and I am really disappointed with the quality. This is Wall Street, so this is a film I've been hunting down for a while from the 80s. But I put it in the player to test out the quality. I don't know if it's just it was played too many times or what, but the quality looks atrocious on it. So I don't know what magic I'm going to have to do when playing that tape. And the last of the movies I've never seen before, National Lampoon's Animal House. Cult favorite from the 70s. Also recommended by Burkett. I guess he's seen it before, so interested to see what Animal House holds in store. And last of everything, actually, we have The Rocketeer, if any of you remember this little superhero film from the 90s, from Walt Disney, well, technically Touchstone, but distributed by Disney, I think. Quite underrated film, too. I think I'd put it on my top 15 favorite superhero movies of all time, because It's underrated. I wish people would give this more of a watch. I mean, cover has a little bit of damage, but honestly, I don't care. I mean, at least I finally have the movie in my collection now, which is nice. So, here, I'll bring the bunny back, even though he fell over. There he is. Come to think of it, I don't even know if I've seen him in a commercial for a while, so I don't know what happened to him. Um, but yeah, otherwise, that's about all I have for today. So, of course, beta video coming soon, so stay tuned for that. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this video and have a great rest of the day, and see you.